Welcome to the Write Good Books podcast, the audio companion to WriteGoodBooks.com, with your host Jason Bougger.
Hey everybody, it's Jason, and things have been so crazy busy the last couple of weeks. I've been out of town, I've been getting physical therapy for the accident, so I just haven't had the chance to get together with Scott. So this week, it's just me flying solo. I wanted to take the opportunity to just kind of talk about a work in progress I'm doing, so I might as well do that when it's just me. And I'm actually not going to talk so much about the work itself, but I'm in the pre-writing stage of it. So I thought it'd be fun to just kind of talk about my pre-writing before I start this new project. But to back up for just a minute, this year I wanted to really focus on short stories again and try to get a lot more short stories published. Well, I've got a lot of rejections lately, and I'm realizing that I'm just not filling the short stories. So I am filling this novel. So I thought, well, let's just do it. Let's just start working on the novel. So the last couple of weeks, I started finally planning this novel. So I want to talk a little bit about the pre-writing that I've been doing for this. It's kind of funny because I had been working on a short story, and it's probably about 10 to 13 pages, and I'm just having trouble finishing it. So since I'm having trouble finishing a 13-page short story, I might as well stop and work on a epic fantasy trilogy. You know, because if I can't write 13 pages, I'm sure I'll have no trouble at all writing, 200,000 or whatever it takes for an epic fantasy. I jest, but we're probably looking at 1,500 pages-ish. So I want to talk about my process of pre-writing this series, because it's been a lot of fun, and it brings back my old memories of high school Dungeons and Dragons, because that's almost how it feels, like you're building a campaign. I had talked way back when about how I've kind of embraced outlining, where I used to be pure discovery writer. I had that manuscript that I just couldn't get through. I had no plan going in. I discovery wrote the whole thing, and it's been so hard to even attempt to fix that I said I'm going to put it on hold, and next time I write a novel, I will be way more prepared. So this one, I am way more prepared. So let's go through how I'm preparing as far as the pre-writing is concerned. I started by opening up a Word document and doing a very short summary, not an outline at all. I mean, this is really, in my head it's a trilogy, possibly 4 books, but I'm taking the trilogy approach. I really wrote a couple of sentences of the basic premise, and then 1 or 2 paragraphs of what I want the central plot points and theme of each book to be in the series. And going from there, I decided to start with the characters, because the problem that I've had with my short stories lately is that the characters have been underdeveloped, and it's hard to have an emotional attachment to characters that are not properly developed. I use Scrivener, which is awesome software for writing a novel, and it's really awesome if you start with it. It's a little harder to import a story into it, but starting at the ground up on Scrivener is just great. It's got templates for characters, locations, and chapters and everything. So what I did, I picked a few of the more primary characters and just started making profiles of them. Real quick, I don't want to bore you by talking about the specifics of the characters or the plot, or really anything about the book, because I don't like talking about works in progress. So I'm talking about my process, not the work itself. But real quick, I want to show you what Scrivener offers for its character profiles. And I just went through and I picked, probably the first 12 to 15 primary characters and did this simple outline for each. You start with, and I'm totally reading this off of Scrivener right now. It's their character sketch template. So you start with a role and story, which is perfect for, if the character is important, he's going to be in the book, and this tells you right there why he's important, or she. So role and story, occupation. I added location. You've got physical description, personality, habits and mannerisms, which is important, a background, internal conflicts, and external conflicts. And those two are awesome because conflict is what gives your character depth, and having that in writing in the pre-planning stages of your novel give you something to really focus on and think about when you write the scenes with this character. You know that he's got this background and he's got these internal conflicts, and then that'll bleed over into the external conflicts as you write the character. And then there's a place for notes that I don't remember if I added or if that's in the actual template, but it's been great. It's almost like you're finding little puzzle pieces of the novel in each character and putting it together. The next thing I did in this pre-planning, I added the little location tag on the character sketch, because in epic fantasy, location matters. I think there's lots of little towns in my book here. So the next thing I planned as part of the world building, I went through and started mapping out some of the more important cities and regions, and I'll read you the setting sketch from Scrivener as well, because it's really cool, and just using this will help with the consistency of the book as well. So it starts with role and story, just like the characters, and this is really important, I think, with towns, because if you just throw a town in for no reason, well, you're throwing it in for no reason, and it's just one more thing to keep track of. But if it has a specific role, it'll help keep it interesting and relevant to your book. For example, on this one, just real simple, I just said it's home of such and such characters. It'll serve as an important military base where, one team will build up their base, and I don't know, sorry. But, so you've got role and story, related characters, population, unique features, which I took to mean physical description. I added a type of government tag, which for the novel I'm writing is important because some of the regions are going to be more of a capitalist bartering system. So I include economy with that, but type of government, some are going to be military dictatorships. So if that's important to you, add it. There's a description tag. What are the sights, sounds, and smells in the area? It never hurts to help pull in your reader if they know you just smell sweat and booze as you walk down the streets of your city. And then a place for notes. So setting matters, and this pre-writing on Scrivener for setting will help so much. My last novel that I abandoned, setting was such a problem for me. I just picked a generic fantasy world, and there was no importance to it. I couldn't figure out how to make it different than ours. I made the trees too big or things like that. And when you really narrow down your setting and your places, it'll just help bring your world to life. So I'm still in the process of building that character list and setting list. I'll do, I don't know, I've done, I said 10 to 12, I think it's closer to 10 characters so far, and I'll probably end up with about 25 primary characters and secondary characters, and then the settings, I'm guessing, I don't know, I'll probably pick about 8 towns or regions and go from there. Once I'm done with that, I think I'll have a better sense of where I want the novel to go, and I will use those character and setting descriptions and my initial summary sheet and probably come up with a little more detailed outline. I am now a fan of outlining, but I'm still not a fan of really, really detailed fill-in-the-blank outlines, because I like to have a little bit of room. So I'm guessing I'll probably take these characters and settings and come up with maybe a 3-page outline, but pretty general, and go from there. I'm guessing that each book should be about 100,000 words, which is just crazy large for me. Holy Fudgesicles was 54,000, and after that, my longest piece is my short stories are they're always around 3,000 or 4,000 words. I think I have one published at about 6,000 words. I hear clock in the background. I don't know what that was, but that's okay. The goal with this trilogy, I want to get the first book done this year. The first draft of the first book. We'll see how doable that is. It's already, good Lord, it's already the middle of June. Guys, my ideal situation would be I get this first book done by September and pitch it at Rocky Mountain Fiction Writers Conference if I go. Otherwise, at the Nebraska Writers Guild Fall Conference. We'll see. If I'm not happy with what I have, I'll have to wait till next year to pitch. But ideally, I want to get this first draft done and then get the second and third books at least outlined and start putting them through Scrivener. In case I haven't plugged Scrivener enough in this podcast, look into it. I'll link to it on our notes. It is making the writing for this novel, I feel so much more confident about this than I've ever felt going into a novel before. If you're a discovery writer, maybe it won't work as well for you. But if you're an outliner or a quasi-outliner, I think it's great. Doing these character profiles and setting profiles and a basic outline beforehand, I really feel like 100,000 words or more, I really feel like this novel is going to write itself. We'll give some updates, as I progress with it. But like I said, I really hope I get a first draft done this year. And I've rambled on and on enough about this, I suppose. So thanks for listening. We'll be back next time. Scott should be able to join us. I shouldn't put it on him. I should be able to get together with Scott for our next recording, so check back then, and until then, check us out on the web at www.writegoodbooks.com. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.